I have had just a few questions about where I find my papers and maybe what are found papers when I say that. So I thought I would just do a quick little video here and kind of walk you through some of the papers and how I use them and what maybe they are. So I'm just showing a couple quick examples. So even though this is kind of a mix, and that is part of the game, the mix of the papers. So if you look at what is in this book, that is glued in place apparently. So some of it looks like it is a page or portion out of a book. This is scrapbook paper. This is probably an old receipt. This is just regular, notebook paper that I typed on. And this is actually a photocopy and just like a little strip of like a security envelope. And then like this little black and white here is a little bit of washi tape. And this is actually, that little shape is actually a file folder. So if you kind of look through again, as we're looking, like this again is part of an envelope. These are just cut words. This might have been a vintage piece of paper here. But this is actually the back of a time card that was used to do eco dyeing. And then maybe a mix of made papers, and this little arch is probably scrapbook paper. Again, a little piece of washi tape, envelope, and then a little tag here. So I thought, like I said, I would just do a little explaining again. That not everything has to be, vintage or old. Like some of it obviously is. But some of it is, made papers. Maybe it's a part of a old photo and a found word. This looks like tea bag, some made paper, washi tape, envelope, again, made paper, and an envelope. So sometimes I feel like it's just kind of the mix of how things are put together. Again, this is probably a bingo card, a little more washi tape here again. So anyway, let's kind of talk through at maybe where I find some of my papers and what this looks like. So one of the things I'd start with is just like magazines. Now I like fashion magazines. Basically for like the words and sometimes the images. It depends on, what I'm doing, how much they're used and well loved. And to be fair, like sometimes I like these pages that are just like black and white at the back with the words. Like if I were to use this for an image transfer, I like being able to see the words, but maybe not being able to read it. So that's maybe why I like the magazines, but I do like using them. I like the page numbers, I like the dates. I like the colors sometimes, maybe I'm cutting out a shape and using it that way. This happened to be out of a magazine as well that I was jelly printing. And I'm not sure it worked out, but I think this page is cool, so I kept it. So just a couple different magazines, like I said, just to give you a feel of why and how I would consider using magazines. So you should be able to pick these up. Sometimes like our library sometimes gives magazines away. So that was sometimes where I would pick those up. And then of course I do use scrapbook paper, and I have certain things obviously that I like a little bit more than others. You have certain papers that you're drawn to, but again, you can just use a little part, and sometimes it's a mix of how you're putting your papers together. You can see I just took a sliver off of the top of that one. This one is vintage wallpaper pads. Like, I love all the colors in these, and I thought it'd be super fun to, mix this with, a black and a white and, something else. So yeah, just be mindful about, magazines and using scrapbook paper. We probably all have scrapbook paper. So the other thing, of course, I think everyone is well aware of is the whole security envelopes. Like, I love these. Like, they're the best. Who doesn't like a great black and white, to put with any of the things that we just got done talking about? So I love security envelopes. I save all of these and just have a pile of security envelopes. And then I also have just like regular paper. Like, I have this, I don't know what this is exactly, but you know what I mean? I don't know that it's fancy or old. I just like the color. And again, the lines and being able to use it that way. Sometimes I've got, sometimes I make copies out of books or magazines, again, just to be able to, reuse this in a different way. Again, I like the alphabet and the numbers, and different things. So sometimes I just have copies of things. Sometimes if you get an old book or an old textbook, they'll be like, papers, maybe from the homework or something like that. Like, I kind of look through, like, this is just a little binding, but I like the color, and I'm sure that's why I kept it. Here's just a piece of, a tear out calendar page. This looks like an old receipt. Here's an old letter. Like, sometimes you just find goodies. So, I just keep a little stash of that kind of stuff. Other things, again, this looks like it was, probably out of a cookbook. I like the shape, the size, and I'm not saying I'm going to use the whole thing, but it could be an option. So I probably kept it. I like the overprinting. I don't know what exactly I was printing on that, but it might be kind of cool, again, just to use like a little snippet of this somewhere. So again, I like the color of this, so I'm sure I kept it. This looks like somebody's homework at some point, so keep that. Cards, these little flash cards are always super fun. You could use the whole thing or cut it down or, just use a little portion of it. Like, there's so many options for these. So these are kind of always fun. And then this kind of stuff, some of this stuff I pick up like at rummage sales. Sometimes at, you might be able to pick them up at a thrift store, but I like at this type of stuff where you can just kind of grab this type of paper. It's usually still in pretty good shape, and you don't have to worry about it being fragile. Like, sometimes the old papers will be fragile and they'll break. And yeah, those aren't always the best. So, save your kids' if you've got kids or grandkids, save their papers and stuff. This too is just patterns. I came from, a family of seamstresses. My grandma sewed, everybody sewed. So I've got patterns. I like the old outer covers, obviously, but even the pattern material and the instructions are great to use for collage. Then you get into, I don't know, like some of this, I just like the shape. Like, I always save when I cut out circles and this kind of stuff. Like, I love reusing this kind of stuff and putting it into stuff. And you could already maybe see how I like the colors on this. It might be kind of fun to, use those together, that sort of thing. Even a little edge. This color is good. I got fabric hiding. A little dry cleaner tags. Those are kind of fun. I like this little square. Again, this was just scrapbook paper, little numbers. I've got made papers that I made, and these are just photocopies of those made papers. So this is just scrapbook again. This is the very edge of like a vintage photo. Sometimes, again, you can pick those up at rummage sales, that sort of thing, but that would be kind of cool. And this is just like a little piece of made paper. What else have I got? If I trim off, you know, I use a lot of file folders, and I love cutting off the tabs and then being able to, you know, put this back into something else and use it as a tab. So I usually save these as well. And then again, parts of envelopes. I've got little typed words, tickets. Here's a copy. Anytime I'm printing off, like if I'm trying new stamps out, this kind of stuff, these are always kind of fun to use in other things. Maybe stuff that didn't work out, you could, you know, rip up and use in something else. This was jelly plate printed, and it looks like it came out of some sort of a textbook. And sometimes, like I said, those are easy enough. You can pick these up like pretty cheap. And I don't think, you know, it's probably not terribly old, but I don't know, it's kind of cool either way. And again, so copied paper, this is just regular, you know, notebook paper again that I've, you know, stenciled on and painted and spritzed and just had a good time. So not everything has to be precious. I had a Dick Blick gift card, and I use this as a palette. So, you know, it's nice to be able to just grab little pieces of this and put in with something else. Same thing here. Looks like this was out of a magazine, and I, again, just was doing some sort of printing. So I like saving this kind of stuff. This would be like a made paper, like a painted paper that I did. It is like a deli sheet, and I just, you know, again, just sometimes I just make a bunch of papers just so that if I want to be able to add just like a little dot, I've got that. This kind of stuff apparently I ordered from, where did I order from? Duluth. But I like the tracking numbers and this kind of stuff. So again, you know, this I bought sometime recently, but you know, I keep this because of this kind of stuff, and this is a sticker, so you could, you know, print or paint or draw or doodle or whatever you want on part of this and use this, and this could be a sticker. I mean, I like the number up here and whatever that was, you know, you can pick some of the words like no bull or guarantee. It'd be kind of fun to put into, use just the words and put into something else. And then this again is just like packing paper that something else came in, but the paper feels nice, right? So I will maybe paint on this or use this paper in a book when I go to make something else, and this would be super fun. So we'll set this aside. The other things too, so like if you come across a vintage box, instead of having to keep like the whole thing, because sometimes those take up room, I've gone to just kind of ripping out and keeping what I want. So, you know, I love the little sunshine yellow and the size, and then the Sears Roebuck, $2.99, you know what I mean, retail store. I just thought that was awesome. Same thing with this, you know, I'm not totally sure what it was, but I just like, you know, the handwriting on here, half slip, you know, size 14, you know, a dozen, black, bulk, you know, maybe, I don't know. I thought it was cool. This too, again, was just like packaging, but I like the, you know, I like the shapes on it and would definitely keep this to use in other things. I do have a pile of like old books, and these again, you know, I picked up a bunch at like a library sale. rummage sales, that kind of thing. So I always like, you know, on the lookout for something that's kind of fun as far as a title goes. But I love books that have been clearly, you know, loved and used and whatever. I love that, you know, whoever this was, and it says Jimmy now, and, you know, somebody else has scribbled in it, and it's maybe falling apart. That might not even, oh yeah, I think it fits in this one. I don't even know if that's the right book cover, but I love that this one says ho hum, yum yum, and the image here at the back. So I've saved this cover. I like the blue color itself. I like how the staples are, you know, kind of showing age and that sort of thing. So I would use, you know, saving this. I like that there's just single words and you can take like a whole strip, or you could, you know, pick words out. But again, I love that, you know, somebody scribbled in this book, and I've, you know, cut and taken words out. I like the large print. If you're looking for, sometimes that's kind of fun for collaging words, that sort of thing. So that's maybe what I look for in an old book. I brought this one out because sometimes you can tell, like this particular book, the pages are kind of getting brittle. So when you know, if you go to fold that, you can just tell that the page isn't going to hold together and would tear easy. So if I go to use this, I have to know, you know, I automatically would have to have another way to maybe keep these pages together if I were to use this type of paper. So I could use fabric, or I could use, you know, another piece of paper, or the tissue paper, something else that would be something else that would, you know, keep the pages together if I was really set on this paper being used. So sometimes they use this for other things, just like scribbling and I don't know, you know, and use things that way. Cut out shapes if I'm just using, like I said, maybe I just want the shape and that sort of thing. So just a little FYI when it comes to old books. Like I said, some of them, you know, the paper is becoming a little more brittle. You just have to be aware and kind of keep an eye out for it. The other thing too, I'll just mention, it's not to say that I don't buy papers, because I buy, you know, I buy plenty of papers. Like I just recently bought these little cards from Tina Walker. It looks like it's a John Deere, you know, some sort of a card, I don't know, but it's got kind of a nice weight, it's a nice size, that sort of thing. And like I said, sometimes when you're out looking, like this is some sort of pharmaceutical script. I managed to pick these up down in Texas, super fun. And I like the color, and again, you know, the handwriting is usually probably what I'm looking for. And then vintage pictures, like I'll use like every scrap probably of a vintage pick, or I'll try as much as possible to use as much as I can, and just not let it go to waste. And then, you know, there are some times that papers are just so fragile again that you're only able to keep, or, you know, maybe it tears out. So I liked the name and the date and that sort of thing. This one just has really good color, and I like the ink that's on it. I feel like this was probably together. I don't know, it looks like it maybe should be, but yeah, so some of the old papers could be almost anything. I feel like this was part of my great grandma's or my grandma's actual some of her schoolwork that's been handed down to me, that my mom said, please use, please use. So again, just different receipts, tickets, tags, you know, it doesn't have to be anything too fancy. Let me see what else I have here. These are just more of the scripts, but I just wanted to cover again, you know, that when I say found papers, they can really almost be anything. They don't necessarily have to be old. Like this might be part of a a time card, a bill, a copy of something, regular, you know, notebook paper, envelopes. And again, I use a fair amount of like washi tape, masking tape, and then this is like old, it looks old. It's by Wow Studio, and it really is fantastic because it looks like old tape, but it's new. So you can put this down. But doesn't that look even better on there? So I'll put a link to the tape when I post this so that you know. But I use a fair amount of the washi tapes, and like I said, just like masking tape, that sort of thing. So I just thought I would cover just a little bit and kind of explain where I sometimes get my papers or how I find them, that sort of thing. Yeah, just so that you had some idea of kind of what I'm looking for. But almost any paper, you know, truly could be used in any way, as long as there's kind of a mix. I think that's the key, the little mix of papers. So anyway, I hope that this is helpful. And if you have any questions, please, by all means, let me know. I'll be happy to hopefully help answer those. See you soon.